SMT Nation, we back. Two pieces of news to cover from AT&T. One is about their home broadband business, and the other one is just about the business, I suppose. The bottom line always the most important thing. I will link both articles in the description. Let's group them all up together here. First one, link in the description. AT&T's fiber sub base surpasses its non-fiber base. I believe this is the first time ever we have seen this happen there. For those of you that have used AT&T service in the past, if it wasn't fiber, you were on the Uverse service that is through DSL. I think the DSL and the VDSL, just depending how close you are to like the main hubs and stuff like that, service can range from anywhere from like 1 megabit per second to like 100 megabits per second. Quite often, most customers fall somewhere in between 10, 20, 50 megabits per second on the downlink. And that was their business for a long time. It was DSL. This is before cable really became a thing, and coaxial, and this is way well before fiber. That's how legacy, these technologies were, and it's where we are today, right? Everything moving towards fiber, but that's the way it was traditionally for AT&T for the last several decades. AT&T added 338,000 fiber subs in the most recent quarter, up from a year ago where the additions were 289,000. So year over year, that is a strength for AT&T. That leaves AT&T with now a fiber base that is approaching 7 million connections. However, AT&T shed 367,000 non-fiber customers. These are your DSL customers in the same quarter. So they are still at a net loss, folks. A year ago, they lost 261,000. So they're moving in opposite directions, but because they're adding fiber customers and those fiber customers are quite profitable and they're quite satisfied, I think that's important to note. It's kind of a good trend for AT&T. So AT&T ended the quarter with 6.86 million non-fiber subs, the old school traditional DSL style connections, and now their fiber customers is a larger part of their the number dynamic, the metric. So that's a good thing. Fiber subscribers up, penetration I think is at 37% for fiber. So where AT&T goes with the fiber, when they don't have competitors, they obviously convert. But where they have competitors, it's like 50-50, right? They go somewhere and they have high-speed internet already there from other companies. They have to compete for their business. They have to go in there, change the minds of the customers, offer a more compelling deal, or offer a better service, a better performance, maybe serve disgruntled customers who want to leave those that are the incumbent. But we're going to continue to see this trend. What you are going to see is more and more of the DSL disconnections, more of the DSL shut down, and you're going to see better penetration improvement from AT&T. Now, John Stankey, the CEO, he is absolutely a fiber guy. He's a wireline guy, and he's got goals, right? They want to get to 30 million plus fiber locations by the end of 2025. They added 500,000 fiber locations in the most recent quarter. That pushes it to about 18.5 million. So we're just barely above the halfway mark. And according to CEO John Stankey, he said that the next 20% penetration, because they're at 37% right now, and it basically flatlined compared to last quarter. He said the next 20% is going to be very challenging. But they are motivated to do so, folks. If you take a look here, the strategy in terms of the ARPU, or average revenue per user, is very attractive. In Q3, it came in at $62.62. A year ago, this period, it was $58.17. So as they scale, it improves. It says here in general, the broadband ARPU in Q3 hit $58.63, up from $55.16. So if you notice this, as they disconnect DSL and they move towards fiber connectivity, their ARPU goes up. The thing that we're going to have to see, though, is they're going to have to replace DSL areas that are getting decommissioned, non-operational. They have to put fiber there. Those are your customers, Sir John of Stanky. You have to install fiber there, and you can have those customers, and you can charge them more. Clearly, those people need connectivity. If they're paying 60 for DSL, You don't think they're willing to pay 70 for fiber, 80 for fiber for a far superior service, a much more dependable service when it comes to uptime? Yeah, they'd be willing to pay. People, quite often, people are willing to pay a premium if they're getting what they're paying for, right? So that would be like the best case scenario. Increase your penetration rate, increase your ARPU, will increase your fiber build. All right, now to kind of go off on, that tangent, I suppose. There is supposedly some kind of a joint venture that is being investigated by AT&T. They're looking for, another entity to kind of come in and become a capital investor so that they can grow their fiber optic network. And that joint venture is no guarantee. It's not something that's for sure going to happen. Somebody to raise 10 to 15 billion dollars in today's economic climate may be the hardest thing to do. Just ask Dish. Ask Charlie Ergen about finding capital and investors to build out networks, whether it's wireless or wireline, makes no difference in my opinion. It's just a tough time to do it. So there's no guarantee, but it says here, this is according to analysts and a Bloomberg report, they don't expect a joint venture to be transformative. I think what AT&T is going to find to be more successful is looking for, things like, funding dollars from the government that are considered to be, guaranteed dollars. But, those situations, while they are lucrative and it allows them to be profitable and the return of investment is 100% going to be there, they're still probably running the numbers and seeing, well, what's our return? Right. So that's going to be the only way it's going to work. And of course, I always hope that those entities really do, especially with government dollars, hold them accountable for building, kind of like the way they did with FirstNet, how they reach certain checkpoints, then they get their compensation, structure it so they have to build, because these companies can't be trusted, folks. We know that. But that's probably the way it's going to play out, and that's probably what it's going to be. But again, interesting statistic slash metric. AT&T's Uverse now dominated majority of it is fiber, right? So, and again, I hope that the fiber network grows. More and more people get the option to get fiber, whether it's people that already have competition, right? 2, 3 providers, maybe they can get a fourth, right? But in reality, the best case scenario is this fiber gets to places where they previously didn't have a second option of any form of connectivity. Like for the longest, I was stuck with Cox Communications, which is trash, garbage can residue. Now I have fiber here. It's a winner, right? That's a success story in my opinion. More people with that sort of thing, and then in places where it was DSL via DSL, uh, you know, satellite services only, bad coax, whatever. Hopefully that kind of grows for them and things work out. They get funding to build. So, second story here. AT&T quietly cuts another 2,500 jobs. I would say that this is news, but it's really not at this point. This pretty much happens like every year, and I can prove it. You can go back to my catalog of videos where AT&T historically has cut jobs annually. Okay, so this is what AT&T does. They are uh, cutting off some jobs at the company, and clearly they're trying to reduce the payroll. They're reducing the workforce, try to trim the fat, and it's obviously connected to the economic stresses that are going on for operations, and they're looking to shrink the workforce here. So it says here AT&T's workforce totaled 280,000 people at the end of 2017, including all the Time Warner employees. It was then about to welcome with a vampire's charm through its doors to 169.9 thousand last month. That's a drop of 110,000 jobs lost in 5 years. So let's take a look here, folks. Here's 2017. They had 280,000 jobs. 2018, they were still hovering around 270. 2019, they're at like 250. You see what's happening here? They're cutting about 10,000 jobs each year. Here's about 230,000 in 2020. 2021, you get a pretty steep drop. Now it's at 200,000. Of course, these cuts here, part of it's just the operations of the business. AT&T is a huge company, and where they can get rid of redundancy, they do. And that's, obviously that helps their margins. But if you look at this drop here in September of 22, it's down to like 170 some thousand. they don't have Warner Media anymore, right? Those people don't work for AT&T, and all those jobs are gone. So that's part of it. DirecTV, Warner Media, all that stuff, it's all gone. So that's part of it, but then there's also the part where literally AT&T cuts jobs because that's what AT&T does. So I'm not surprised that they're looking to slash payroll. We've seen them turn off certain radios on tower sites to save on the electricity bill. Are you surprised that they're doing this? Hell to the nah. You know, I mean, doesn't a bear take a dump in the woods and wipe his butt with a fluffy white rabbit? I mean, that's pretty much the analogy here. That's what they do. You know, you don't ask a fish why it swims. That's what they do, and that's what AT&T is. Like, they cut jobs. Now then you got T-Mobile who cuts jobs, but they said that they wouldn't. They broke merger promises. And then Verizon, they were cutting jobs a couple years ago, and they've done that too. And they're probably going to be doing more of that this year. Be on the lookout for that. Sheesh, man. And again, the only people really affected by these things, it's not executives, all right? It's always going to be just hardworking Americans, so they pay the price. Sucks, but predictably seeing cuts at AT&T. And then we got the fiber situation with the, taking over the DSL numbers. What do you guys think about these stories? Comment down below. You all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard. Like, share, subscribe for more. Turn on the bell notifications to never miss an upload. Links in the description for my Patreon page if you want to get early access to content and exclusive videos not found anywhere else. There's a link for that, as well as the join button down there. You can become a member of the SMT Nation on YouTube. Get the same perks as Patreon, similar video access and stuff like that. Thanks for those considerations. We shall see you all on the next video. Peace.